Hey, what it do, everybody, and we are here. An emulation is the reproduction of a function or action of a different computer or software system. Now, for video games, that means playing original titles on different hardware, and that hardware emulates the original game console in order to play the game's ROM. Hey, don't get me wrong, there's nothing like playing your original Nintendo, PlayStation, or even Neo Geo titles on their original hardware. It just feels right. But there is something about modern emulating handhelds that are so convenient, so small, bring them with you wherever you want. What's more convenient than just bringing one device and booyah! We have multiple systems and game libraries at the ready at the moment's notice. Now today I'm going to show you what I do with my handheld collection and which one is my choice for the most convenient emulation device. What it do. The good old days of Super Mario Land, World, and All-Stars. The days of nearly breaking your controller in half trying to beat that cart mine level on Donkey Kong Country. And they all know what I mean. Most recently, there has been an uptick in retro gaming. Buying and playing your old games from when you were a kid is becoming very popular recently. Though trying to buy your old consoles and games nowadays, it's starting to get a bit out of control with the pricing and the trolls, the gaming trolls. Hey, but never fear, your friend AliExpress is here. Game emulation is a cheaper way to play all your old favorites without breaking the bank. And if you know me, I like to save the money. Now, the first handheld I have to show you is the Powkiddy V90. And yes, I know that name sounds fun, and it sounds fun to say. A Powkiddy, Powkiddy, Powkiddy. It's a little kitty. Pow, pow, pow. Powkiddy. Now this one comes in at an average price of $40, and yes, you can get this sucker at Amazonia. The V90 is a clamshell device very reminiscent of the Game Boy Advance SP, which I like personally. Now this guy has an all-winner F1 C100S 700 MHz CPU with an integrated 32 megabytes of RAM. It has a 3-inch IPS display that has a resolution of 320 by 240 with a 4:3 aspect ratio. This little screen is killer in any lighting. At any angle. I was really impressed with this display. Love the colors. All your old retro gamings look great and luscious and very vibrant on this device. It does have a small battery though, only a 1020 milliamp battery, which will get you about 2 hours of gameplay. But the battery is easily swappable and rather common on Amazon. And you can find it for cheap, probably for like $10, and at higher capacities too, which will further extend your gameplay. I love the clamshell form factor on this device. It makes it very pocketable and easy to take with you anywhere. The buttons are very comfortable to push, with a mushy feeling for all the buttons except for the menu and side triggers that have like a clicky feel to them, which I like, but opinions may vary. This little game monster plays Game Boy ROMs with no problems, as you can see in this clip. Though Game Boy Advance is where this little guy shines, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Yoshi's Island Advance, and Crash Bandicoot 2 all played awesome with no issues. Truly impressed what it do. It plays Neo Geo Arcade very well, as you can see here, with Metal Slug running at 60 frames. Now, Super Nintendo is where this little guy was struggling. It had graphical issues and stuttering audio when playing Super Mario World, but still playable. Now, when I played games that use the Super FX chip, like F-Zero, it really had issues and made the game hard to bear. But for the $40 and knowing the type of CPU and RAM it has, makes you understand its shortcomings. All right, what it do? Handheld number 2 is the RG35XX by Ambernick. Just looking at this little handheld, you can totally see that this one was inspired by the original Game Boy DMG. And I totally love the finish. This handheld comes in clear, transparent, atomic purple, and retro, as you can see here. This device has a 4X Cortex A9 CPU clocked at 1.6 GHz with a dedicated GPU and 256 megabytes of RAM. This one has a slightly bigger screen at 3.5-inch IPS display with a resolution of 640 by 480, but it does have a 2100 milliamp battery, which will get you 3 to 4 hours of gameplay in my testing. Unlike the original Game Boy, this device has back trigger buttons that have a clicky but satisfying feel, as well as soft and mushy D-pad and face buttons. It has a volume rocker on the left side and a sleep and power button, as well as a reset button on the right side. Below that are the SD card slots, and you can actually have 2 on this device. The RG35XX can play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Neo Geo Pocket, Arcade Classics, WonderSwan, PC Engine, Game Gear, and Master System, with absolutely no issues. Now, where this handheld impresses me is that it can play most PS1 ROMs, with some exceptions. It did struggle playing Resident Evil and Need for Speed, but Crash Bandicoot and Tekken work flawless. Now, built into the handheld is a mini HDMI display port that allows you to play on the big screen. The USB-C port can be used to connect OTG cables to plug in wired controllers as well as charge the device. This essentially makes the RG35XX pretty much a Nintendo Switch. Well, kind of. But I truly enjoy playing on this retro handheld. Handheld number 3 is none other than the original Nintendo DS Lite that I have refurbished into a new custom shell. Now, since the DS Lite is region unlocked, we can take advantage of a R4 card or H3DS Plus card that you can load up all of your Nintendo DS ROMs on. Currently, I have some new Super Mario Bros. DS and Mario Kart DS, and it is just like playing with the original game cards, with no issues, and download play does work. Now, I'm not going to go too into detail with this device, because we all know what a DS Lite can do, which includes the ability to play Game Boy Advance carts and ROMs. To wrap this all up, what is my favorite handheld? The RG35XX does play more games and consoles than the V90 and Nintendo DS Lite, and does it well, but the V90 and Nintendo DS Lite have that awesome clamshell form factor, which makes these devices way more pocketable and convenient to always have with you when you need it. However, there is something to be said about using the original hardware to play Nintendo ROMs, dude. For me, I would say that the V90 is my favorite to always have with me, as it is way easier to always have with you for some quick casual game. Now, this all depends on what kind of gamer you personally are, and what you do and how you play video games, and what kind of stuff you do like to play. Whether you like to play Game Gear, or you like to play just old school, P-colored screen Game Boy games. Totally up to you. But if it's your first time checking out DME and Kidult TV, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to DME and Kidult TV, get you notified, hit that bell. That's right, whenever we post a new video. But from DME and Kidult TV, we'll see you guys all on the next video. What it do, everybody?